All right, Shalom. First things first, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Shemel Shai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh Shai. We give double honors to the apostles and elders, which are the apostles and elders that rule the great millstone, that have been diligently doing the work, and that have stayed doing the work and not took no breaks, because we're at the time of end. Okay, things are moving hella fast with this guy Trump. So I just wanted to go into a couple news stories that I found that I seen pretty interesting to show that Trump is going to have to show face with Russia, because there's going to come a time people aren't figuring in Trump's backers that are pro-Israel. Israel is determined to go against Iran, man, because that's prophesied to come. So the things that are leading to that, what's the word for it, to that confrontation are taking place. So I'm going to play this video, and then I'm going to go into some scriptures, and Lord willing you, Akim, are edified.
Now, Saudi Arabia and the United States have accused Iran of playing a destabilizing role in the region. The Saudi King Salman and the U.S. President Donald Trump agreed via phone call to address what they called Iran's destabilizing regional activities. Meanwhile, a White House statement says Trump and Salman want to rigorously enforce the Iran nuclear deal. They also agreed to establish safe zones in war-ravaged Syria and Yemen. Saudi Arabia is part of a so-called U.S.-led coalition against terrorism, but both countries are widely blamed for backing and arming terrorist groups in their fight against government forces in Syria and Iraq. Iran says the future of Syria and Iraq must be decided by the people of those countries. And joining us now at Bristol, once again, is Mr. Tony Dawson, investigative journalist. Hello there, Tony. Thanks for joining us back on the program. Tony, many critics are extremely concerned that a U.S. president with little or no understanding of Middle East politics will further destabilize the region. And this Washington-Riyadh relationship is one of those topics of concern. Your thoughts?
And it is going to destabilize it. Just like you said, dude doesn't have any kind of Middle East experience. That's why it says there's no more wisdom. The Most High is taking knowledge by putting this guy up there, because he goes by emotions, man. Emotional, he's moving by emotions and not thinking things thoroughly.
Yes, I think you're right. He is going to be destabilising things, although it does look as if the Russian alliance between, or with the Assad, is kind of blocking the US in Syria. But look, let's just have a look at this guy, Mad Dog James Mattis, that he's appointing the Secretary of Defence. You're talking there about somebody who urged Trump not to end support for Syrian rebels back on the 1st of December last year. We're now in the situation where we're being told that Syrian refugees from that conflict, there's an indefinite ban on them, dovetailing with the previous story. Also with Iraq and Sudan and Libya and Yemen and Iran, of course. So this blocking of people who are coming from this part of the world is absolutely appalling, considering that people like James Mattis are actually still saying, or at least he was in December, that the rebels should be being armed. These are people that most people in the world don't call them rebels.
This is a quick precept. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus 4 and verse 27. It says, "Make not thyself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty." See, so there now, you got how many ever people saying that, oh, he might be business smart, but you got actual analysts saying this guy doesn't have no foreign plan about it, and no foreign way to deal with those other foreign states. So it says underling to a foolish man. So we're supposed to be under, he's the commander in chief, right? So the commander in chief should have his self exercising those things, man. But this is all set up in prophecy to happen like this.
They call them terrorists. So I think that what's happening is you've got kind of blowback, what they call blowback, which is why one of the reasons that Trump is trying to stop people coming into the United States. But actually, the 9/11 attacks were apparently conducted, we're told, from a cave in Afghanistan. So how is it going to help him at all?
And you know, And according to many critics, Iran is fighting terrorism and asking for help to continue fighting terrorism. And Riyadh promotes a strict Wahhabi doctrine which actually promotes terrorism, which it also is very eager to export to regional countries. Yet you hear nothing out of the West about this known fact. Why?
I mean, it's because it's propaganda, effectively. I mean, what we've had for the last few decades is these various different, I suppose you could call them fake versions of the Abrahamic religions, the Abrahamic faiths. I mean,
that?
if you think of,
Because you got perverted versions of the truth. You got these elites that have set up all these different landmine doctrines. That's what you're gonna call them. Because what happens when you go over a landmine? It explodes and kills you, man. So those are how those doctrines and those different philosophies are, man. That's why it says he made it the earth to drink and to be drunken, man. And it says the other nations have tasted of it and are mad. So these are the things that's been pushed out to the world and been established as so-called truth, or so-called the way to the Most High.
for people like Benjamin Netanyahu and Zippy Livni as Jewish leaders, well, actually these people are, what many would call them, in fact in Malaysia they have been successfully tried as war criminals. You've also got, in the Christian world, the Bush and Blair characters supposed...
That's it on that. I'll post this. Let me get right to this. Let me get right to this other clip. Let me play this one. Okay.
Heavy shelling has hit the region as government troops and pro-Russian rebels report new casualties. At least 15 people were killed in the worst fighting in weeks. Several buildings, including an elementary school, were damaged. The war between government troops and rebels has killed almost 10,000 people since it began in 2014.
Now this is going into the skirmish that's going on in Ukraine, because you still have that proxy war going on over there. So there's things on multiple fronts.
Joining me now with more on this and the most recent news this morning with those sanctions against Russia imposed by the U.S. is Aurel Braun. He's a professor of international relations and political science at the University of Toronto. Good morning. Thanks for being with us. Let's start by talking about these sanctions that we're just learning about this morning. Isn't this just going to increase tensions between Iran and the United States?
Well, this is assuming that there were no tensions to begin with. And what has happened is that in the past year and a half, Iran has been prodding and probing. They have supported a variety of proxies. The Houthis in Yemen. The Houthis, for example, have fired on Saudi ships, on those of the United Arab Emirates.
And they just had the situation where that they did a strike in Yemen, and a so-called one of the people got killed during the mission, but they didn't strike during Obama's term. They strike during this guy's term. So things are moving behind the scenes because Yemen is directly helped by Iran. That's what he's pretty much saying.
And there was no response from the Obama administration because they were so intent on protecting the nuclear agreement.
The deal in 2015.
And the deal in 2015. But the kind of tests that the Iranians have been engaging in, these short-range and medium-range missiles, these are capable of carrying nuclear weapons. And when you look at a nuclear capability, it is not only the explosive bomb, but it is also the delivery system. And the Iranians have been rushing full ahead to develop these delivery systems. So the new administration is saying to them, this is a violation of an agreement that you are not going to deliver or develop these delivery systems. We have been doing it, and we are sending you a very clear message that there's a cost to that.
So are they testing the new presidency then?
In a sense, one might say that they were overreaching. They had such a tremendously advantageous deal that they got with President Obama. This was a deal that transferred and allowed the lifting of sanctions of a huge amount of money. It did not force the closing down of the Fordo plant. The inspection regime is relatively restricted. So even if they abided by the agreement, they could still develop the technology. They could still do testing in terms of delivery systems unless they actually use ballistic missiles. So they were pushing the envelope, and at the moment, I think they may have pushed it a bit too far. They received that signal. It's a warning. So in a sense, it's up to the Iranians to say, are we going to pull back a little bit? They have also been very active in Syria. When we look at these vast numbers of refugees from Syria, this is because of the war. And Bashar al-Assad would not likely be in power were it not for the support of the Iranian government and the proxy Hezbollah.
So where does this leave Russia and Vladimir Putin? Because Donald Trump seems to have soft language when it comes to dealing with Russia and almost an admiration for President Vladimir Putin. How does Russia factor?
It's a very interesting question because here you start with an American administration that basically has been sending very positive messages to Russia that we could have a good relationship, that we could even partner in fighting terrorism. And then you have these incidents in Ukraine, which again are pushing the envelope.
Where, I mean, I got the question or the answer right here, because Russia's going to be that guard, man. They're set up to be a guard unto Iran. That's going to be that monkey that wrench in the plan, because that's what's going to throw everything off. Because even though if Trump has a regards of Putin, this right here is going to trump all that admiration, because they got to go their, how you say, their heads are going to butt when it comes to this issue on Iran. But let me get this. This is Ezekiel 38 and verse 7. Be thou prepared and prepare for, it says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Let me read up at verse 5. This is Ezekiel 38 and verse 5. It says, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, with them, all of them with shields and helmet. Gomar and all the bands in the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So that's what's going to happen when this war gets to a boiling point. Iran's going to go with their interest, which is Iran, or Russia's going to go with their interest, which is Iran, and they're going to guard them, and they're going to pretty much go against the United States over that issue, because it's to fulfill prophecy. All right, and then let me get this real quick. This is the book of Joel, well-known scripture. This is Joel 3 and verse 9. And it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all you heathens, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. So this thing is going to lead to a conflict that's not going to ever cool down, because it's going to lead to the end of this wicked society and the bringing in of the kingdom, which is going to be ruled by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and the Israelites on the planet Earth, man, the elect. All right, with that, I'm going to give all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahushai, Shalom.